Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Cinderella phenomenon. So, last time we left off, I do believe that something happened. I don't know. It's been so off and on. Damn, I forget what happened. well, I guess we'll see. We'll see. Okay. All I know is that we've made some progress in, I guess, discovering our feelings for Cloud. Moonlight spills through... Oh, my bad. This is not Kato I showed you. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass, and as I stand in the clearing, I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be this late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear a rustling in the leaves and turn immediately to see what the disturbance is, but the minute I do, I am pulled back by a strong force and my world goes dark. Before I can scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ears. Lesson 1, Yumeko. When apprehended by an enemy that you can't see, remain calm and use your 5 senses to judge how best to act, to get the upper hand. This voice is coming from right behind me. Claude? I become aware that this is the closest he has ever been to me, with my back pressed to his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind. That is why you must remain cool under any circumstance. How could I not panic? Any normal person would panic. Still, I try to force myself to become calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guards when they think they have the upper hand. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating his weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, and I feel it is a bit easier, but only because I know it's Claude. An opening. I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow back at Claude's stomach. Before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember. You won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponents will usually always be stronger than you, Yumeko. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guards down when they believe they're winning. Just like I have. An opening. A thought occurs to me as I glance around me and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? What will you do, Princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? Between these two, bite his hand or topple him. I think the most realistic choice is going to be biting his hand. Because, like, if we're trying to topple him, this is like a dude. A dude who's likely a lot taller and a lot stronger than us. So I think it's going to be harder for us to try and completely, like, take him onto the ground. So I think we're going to bite his hand. I'm going to feel terrible about this, but I have to try. I try to shift my head to get enough space to bite down, and even Claude cannot hold me completely still as I squirm. Eventually the hand over my mouth moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. I cannot bite the hand that I injured. Unable to do anything else, I mutely shake my head and I hear Claude groan. In one swift motion he pushes me down to the ground, pinning my hands by my head as he frowns at me. You're not even going to try and find an opening? I glare at him. I'm not going to bite your hand. Bite my hand? I didn't even think of that. But you made it obvious. You put your hand over my mouth. I'd meant for you to not try to move my hand. Pushing back a person's thumb usually causes their grip to loosen. But how was I supposed to know that? Experience is the best means of practice, as they say. I have a complaint about that particular lesson, but I withhold it. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? I glare at him, unable to say anything because he's right. You're oddly quiet. It is hard to find an opening to hurt you when you're not really my enemy. He does not move, but continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to what exactly? Yumeko, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own. No, I want to be able to protect myself because I don't want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down and I can feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments everything slows to a stop, and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you've made your mind to do something, you don't let go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond, and he stands in again, offering a hand. Let's get started with some sword practice then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. What are you really like, Claude? Chapter 7, Thorny Rose. Is this the last chapter? I don't know. I forget if it indicated if it was the last chapter or not. When I returned to the march later that night, my hands are scratched and I think I might have bruises on my arms. Claude was not joking when he said he would not go easy on me. But he did compliment me more than once. Yumeko, I've heard you quite a few times and you haven't uttered a single complaint. Impressive. Crying is for the weak. Though everyone should be sleeping, I notice that the light is still on at the tavern. I see Jodine and Garland up at a table, speaking with each other and laughing. If Claude had come back with me, he would have been happy to see this. You two are still up. They're not even surprised when they turn to face me. Good days like this are even better when stretched. I haven't been off duty in a long time. Did you both have a good night tonight? It was great. Garland knows these little places in town that I've never even heard of before. I forget who's Jorian and who's Garland. Alright, Jorian's the girl. Okay. So I just gave Jorian a very manly voice. I noticed that Jorian is more energetic than usual. Her smile a little wider than normal. I wonder if she's drunk. I'm going to get another drink. Another drink? Garland leans in towards me, his voice hushed. We've already bought a replacement bottle when we were out today. We would have never taken anything from the marching without money. Right. Is Jorian drunk? Oh no, princess. Tipsy. It's like a buzz. Fades a lot quicker. Oh. Garland and I watch Jorian as she refills her glass at the bar. I have to thank you, princess. I would have never asked her out if you and Karma hadn't insisted on it. So you told her? Garland looks at me with a pleased smile. I'll take that as a yes. She didn't really realize until much later. I just asked her out for food and she thought that's all it was. Maybe Jorian really did need to be told bluntly. What happened? I, told her? And? We talked and remembered the old times. He sounds like an old man. And I held her hand. I notice Garland flinch ever so slightly, but he is smiling. He looks pleased with himself. And the night's not over yet, so... He trails off with a hopeful smile before he raises his eyebrows at me. What about you and Karma? What about us? I've asked him to train me. Train? Princess, you've asked him to train you how to use a sword. What's this? Our princess is going to pick up a sword. Jorian returns to the table, but I'm too tired to probably join in on the conversation. I shall leave them to their conversation and head to bed. I need to get some rest if I want to start practicing at night. I excuse myself to head upstairs. Oh. I'm startled awake by an excruciatingly bright light. It is momentarily, and when it's over, I'm sitting in my bed, dazed and confused. My eyes burn. My hand flies to the pendant around my neck, where I see the second glass slipper with another piece. Hey, playing little Cupid over here. There's another piece. But when did I do another good deed? I grasp the necklace slightly in my hand as I make my way to the tavern. Everyone is doing their pre-morning chores when I get to the tavern area. I notice Karma glaring off into space, and then not far from him, the two knights. They haven't been up all night, have they? I make my way slowly over to them. Even back when you were like some kind of Even back then you were like some kind of shadow, weren't you? You don't have to hide it. It was obvious you were tailing me back then. It was only because I was worried about you. I realized you really didn't have to follow me, Lan. But I'm glad you did. Lan? Jurian... Oh, shush. Fritz used to call you that too. Lan is Garland's childhood nickname. He still gets embarrassed when I call him that. I see. So, what are you two talking about? Oh, we were just reminiscing. I look at the two of them critically for a few moments, waiting for them to say something. They both exchange a glance before looking at me, confused. Well? Well, what? How did your date go last night? Garland makes a sound and turns a beet red. Jurian's eyebrows quirk, and then she laughs. Oh, that! It went well! So well, in fact, that you can see that the two of us are still very much enjoying each other's company. Jurian is usually busy taking her rounds around the margin with a scowl on her face. She looks happier being here with Garland, more relaxed. You might even say that we're dating. Hey! My boy, he did it. Isn't it funny how red he gets, Princess? You were blushing just as much yesterday when I... One more word, Lan, and I swear I'll punch you. The both of them are blushing now, and the scene is oddly comical. Who knew that the two great knights of the Order of Caldera could be so easily undone? Both of you are amusing to watch. The two of them stare at me, suddenly solemn-faced. I suddenly remember that one conversation the knights all had at the castle. They were talking about how they all had personal reasons for being knights, despite the fact that they all served the king. I had always thought Jurian and Garland were stoic and honourable, that their only reason for becoming knights was a sense of justice. Seeing them here, though, without that stoic facade, they feel more like people. My curiosity is piqued. Do you mind if I ask you what your reasons were for becoming knights? Oh, my father was a knight. He put his life on the line for his kingdom. Jurian's father was a living legend in his own right, and he had the medals to back it up. My father wasn't around a lot, but I always admired him. Judging by the look on Jurian's face, it's clear to me that she really loves her father. My mother died when I was young, and because my father couldn't be around all the time to take care of me, I ended up practically living with Lan and his family. Lan always got annoyed when I called him my brother. Now I know why. Jurian wanted to follow in her father's footsteps. Then why did you join the Knights, Garland? Because you wanted to watch over me. I never knew you blushed so easily, Garland. Garland seems to blush even harder at that, and Jurian's laughter becomes infectious. I feel amusement begin to bubble up as I watch the two of them. But a cold voice cuts through the laughter, and the atmosphere like a hot blade through ice. Could you keep it down over there? I turn and see that Claude's eyes, normally so warm, are cold. His usual smile is gone, replaced with a deep scowl. Oh, we're sorry. He's still glaring at the two of them. Oh, I can tell him about the necklace. Karma, I got another piece to my necklace. Another good deed. Claude turns his gaze to me, but the frown doesn't disappear. That's nice, darling. His voice is calm, but flat and lacks any enthusiasm. That felt lackluster, and oddly disappointing. A good deed. Congratulations, Princess. You're close to breaking your curse. What did you get the good deed for? I'm not sure exactly. Maybe it was for helping Lan confess. I hear you and Karma went out of your way to make it happen. That happened yesterday, though. Maybe the magic was waiting to see what became of Garland and I? Claude makes a dismissive hand gesture from his table, frowning. If you two insist on being so affectionate, you should get room. Affectionate? Jurian's smile has faded away into a dangerous scowl, where Garland looks confused, Jurian looks notably irritated. The shadow is still there on his face. Claude does not look okay at all. Confront him or scold him? Oh no, comfort him or scold him. Ooh. I remember at some other point, I forget if it was with Karma or whether it was with Rod, but I know that a similar choice appeared where we were no, I think it was with Karma, where we were where I chose initially to, you know, kind of be a bit more pacifist, but the right choice was actually to be a bit more aggressive in our approach. So I think that that's probably going to be what we're going to want to do. Because he doesn't really seem to be in the mood to be comforted right now. It doesn't matter if something's bothering him. It isn't like him to be so rude. Irritation is no excuse for rudeness. Fine, I apologize. Happy? He looks at me for a few moments, his expression twisted into a defiant scowl, but it doesn't hold long. Moments later, his expression softens, and he looks away, almost in shame. I'm sorry. This apology sounds real. But still, why do I feel so disappointed? Silence descends for a few moments before Claude abruptly stands up from his table. Excuse me. Claude turns briskly and heads upstairs, leaving me with the two knights. I wonder what's wrong with him. I think we've been running him too thin because of practice. I don't think it's you two. I get the feeling that Claude holds himself back from saying what he means sometimes. Sometimes he acts strange, distant, and recently he's getting more and more moody. Princess? I look over at niece, who's smiling apologetically. Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Broom's getting kind of restless. Time to sleep, I suppose. Well, maybe cleaning will help me get my mind off things. The rest of the day goes by slowly. I'm stuck cleaning most of the day and then serving later. At one point I speak with Delora about the knights that had attempted to kidnap me, and she tells me that she and Parfait are meeting later to discuss their suspicions. I still do not understand what their suspicions are, when Sir Alcaster cannot possibly know who I am. My hands are sore by the end of the night, but I still feel like I can practice with a sword. I notice that both Jurian and Garland look restless too. Garland eventually leaves for patrol, while Jurian remains at the table, looking deep in thought. I do not want to bother her, so I decide to try and find Claude. I go to his room but find that the door is locked. Claude! Karma, are we training tonight? No answer. My heart sinks. Is he not speaking to me? Did I do something wrong? For days, Claude stayed in his room, only leaving when he had to be on patrol. A few times I saw Parfait go into his room, but she refuses to talk about what's bothering him. I feel so useless. When Claude did appear in the tavern or out in town, he still had that terrible grimace on his face. Look, I really don't want to talk right now. If you're so frustrated with me, why not just ignore me? No, I'm not going to train tonight. I'm not in the right state of mind. I don't want to talk about it. Just leave me alone. Please. I'm really beginning to worry about him. Today I'm in town running errands with Walt for Parfait. It's been almost a week since Claude started acting so strangely, so I thought I needed to do something for him. I know he likes dresses, and he told me once that he likes roses, but can I really find something that will cheer him up? Perhaps he would like some jewellery. Walt, do you remember where the jewellery store Karma likes is? I don't go there very often, so unfortunately no. Princess, is this a good deed? Hmm? What you're doing right now? Did you think it would be a good deed? Good deeds need to be selfless, right? Generally, yes. I doubt this would count as selfless. I'm doing this to cheer Karma up. That sounds pretty selfless. But it's also so that he goes back to teaching me how to fight instead of sulking in his room. I've heard that Karma's been teaching you how to use a sword. Why do you want to learn how to fight? Because I want to be able to protect myself, and it's not like I can use magic. At least sword fighting gives me an advantage. I'm sorry, Princess. I wish I could teach you magic, but it doesn't work when you're under a curse. But on your 18th birthday, when you become the Tenenbaum bearer, you'll be able to use magic. I'll instruct you if you want me to. That would be nice. Though that does not solve my current problem. What would cheer Claude up? Walt starts chuckling beside me, and I turn to look at him, confused. Karma's important to you, isn't he? He's my partner, and he's always helped me. He's also been patient with me, and smiled even when I've said some really inconsiderate things to him. I'm glad, Princess, that he's your friend. My friend. Claude does not feel like a friend. He feels like something else. Oh, Princess, is this the one you were searching for? Walt pointed to a peddler sporting different kinds of jewellery, and I instantly make my way towards it. There are all kinds of glittering things displayed, and for a few moments I feel myself drawn to everything. Then I notice the price tags. I barely have any money left from when the king gave me that pouch. I cannot afford any of this. Maybe we should do our errands first, and then look for a gift. Maybe we'll find something as we look through the stores. But if I don't get Claude's gift today, I may not be able to give it to him tonight. Princess?
Look for the gift first, or run the errands first? Honestly, I kind of agree. Like, we're out here trying to help him, or at least, take a little load off. So if we get sidetracked and end up not doing the errands, then it kind of ends up burdening him more, I would imagine. And I do agree with Waltz. I think it's probably best if we do little, window shopping as we're running these errands. And then if we see anything interesting, then we can do that later on.
Waltz has a good point. We might find something while we do the errands, and then we can get them out of the way. Besides, it's not right for me to put Claude above everyone else. We spend a few hours gathering the supplies needed for the tavern, and only then do we start looking again for Claude's gift. Princess, I can hold more of those bags for you. It's fine. I'm used to carrying lots of bags. Does Karma make you carry them around? Princess, you really should tell him off. He does a lot of other things for me, but next time I think I will. So long as he gets out of his room sometime soon. I really hope he does. Hey, Princess. But now the problem is finding something that she'll like. What does Claude like? Princess! There's no reason for you to shout. Walt shakes his head at me, but he's smiling. Let me offer you a deal. A deal? If you help me set up one of my puppet shows, I'll pay you. You earn money from your puppet shows. I get tipped. So, what do you say? I won't go easy on you, though. Yes, I'll help you. Why do you seem so surprised? I was just thinking that everyone's right. You really have changed, Princess. Maybe having Karma as a partner really was a good idea. Being partners with Claude may have changed him for... There. Being partners with Claude may have changed me for the better, but I doubt I've done the same for him. I'm sure Karma would be very happy that you're buying him a gift. Receiving gifts from admirers isn't the same thing as you getting him something. He receives gifts from admirers. For a few moments I think about the woman who chased us in town from a few weeks ago, and I feel a little unpleasant stab in my heart. Small things. A man will treat him to dessert every so often. I saw a lot of it when we did errands together. I always make Karma accept those gifts without killing the man. Killing the man? It's dramatic, but does sound like karma. He punched Rumple when he asked him to marry him, joke or not. Karma wears his disguise to be convincing, but then gets angry when people fall for it. He is still very much a child. You know how he is. He doesn't like being flirted with. Walt, do you know anything else about Karma's curse? His curse? He never really talks about it. Claude may be even more stubborn than me if he's not letting anyone help him with his curse. Walt and I continue our search for the gift. Walt tells me that I can look for something a bit more expensive and that he'll just put me to work on another day by helping him with his puppet. I return to the jewellery peddler we found earlier. Hello, madam, sir. What can I help you with today? Do you have any sort of rose-shaped jewellery here? The man offers me refers me to a box full of many different rose-shaped earrings. He then shows me necklaces, and I realise belatedly that it is as if I'm searching something for Miss Karma, not Claude. My eyes scan the glass, nearly in defeat, before a little rose catches my attention in the back of the display window. It has a chain connected to it, but doesn't seem long enough to be a necklace. What's that one? That's our simple rose pendant, ma'am. It comes with a chain, but it can also be pinned. It comes with a chain, but it can also be pinned on the chest. The man takes it out of the display case so I can look at it. Huh. This is fancy, but not completely flashy. I feel a little click as I press my fingers to the pendant, and I realise that it can also open. Oh yes, you can put something small inside of it. This is perfect. I look at the price tag, and after making sure that it's not too expensive, I pay the shopkeeper. Walt pays him the additional fee, and then we walk back toward the margin together. When we return to the margin, I go to my room to tuck the locket into a drawer before I head to the tavern to finish the rest of my chores. Just as expected, Claude is not downstairs today either. Jorian and Garland have taken to training with each other, though they seem agitated that Claude is not helping them. At the end of the day, I hurry to my room, where I write a few words on a piece of paper that I put into the locket. A normal rose would have been with her, so I offered this one instead, in heartfelt thanks. I hold the locket tightly in my hand and start towards Claude's room. Why is my heart beating so fast? I'm just giving him a gift. I pause at Claude's door, remembering the last time I entered his room. I'm sure it's okay if I just go in. I open up the door to Claude's room, which is thankfully not locked, and step inside. Claude is sitting motionless in front of his mirror, shoulders slumped as he stares at his reflection. He's shirtless, and there's that tattoo. It seems different. Claude does not notice me at first. I notice that his hand goes to the tattoo over his chest, and then I hear him heave a heavy sigh. Slowly, I close the door behind me. It clicks, and that's when he suddenly turns to look at me. At first there's just shock on his face, and then suddenly, anger. Again. Why do you do this again, Yumeko? Alright, I came to speak with you, or I came to give you something. So, we can either be direct, or I came to speak with you. I mean, it might not be a bad idea to just go ahead and straight up give him the pendant. But at the same time, it also might not be too bad of an idea to, like, try and talk to him a little bit. Because, I mean, I think it's safe to assume at this point that he probably has a little bit of a soft spot for us. And obviously we're not going to figure out what's wrong with him if we just, you know, ignore the fact of the matter. So, we're going to speak with him. I came to give him something, but I also want to speak with him. I haven't seen Claude in a while. Why? Because you've been doing everything by yourself lately? You came to complain? No, I wanted to check on you. Princess, can you not read the room? You could have, at the very least, knocked. Ooh. In no time at all, Claude is suddenly right in front of me, his hands outstretched on either side of me, pinning me to the wall against the door. His face is so close, his expression so fierce that I cannot even bring myself to think of a way out. The only thing I can do is stare at him levelly, without getting angry, without crying. I will not show any weakness. Why? Why aren't you struggling or screaming at me? As what the Yumeko that I know would do. Then you don't know me as much as you think you do. And you know nothing about me. I already have a retort prepared when I stop, realizing that he's right. I barely know anything about him. No, I don't, but I'd like to. Why do you insist on poking your nose into others' businesses? We're partners. That's the only reason. It has to be. I'm supposed to help you, so why do you keep secrets from me? Help me? His lips quirk, but his smile is sardonic. Claude, I want to help you! In the silence that descends between us, I find that I cannot help but look at Claude's tattoo, at the thorns twirling around the rose. It's beautiful, but it also seems so lethal. When I glance at Claude again, he looks crestfallen. His eyes are glittering like he might be on the verge of tears. Secrets are secrets for a reason, Princess. You should know that. If I could speak to you about them, I would, but I can't. And you bursting into my room without any notice only makes it harder. Harder for what? Princess, you can't imagine what this all feels like. What is he talking about? And that woman! I thought we were meant to be! She was so lovely. Her smile as bright as the sun. Claude's eyes are far away. That's why. Never again. But then you ruined everything, Yumeko. You cut me down like... I push my hands against Claude's chest, catching him off guard and forcing him to stumble back. I cannot take any of this. If I've ruined everything, then I'll just leave. You can have all the time in the world to yourself then. The locket I'd bought for him burns in my hand, and I end up throwing it at his feet. Yumeko, wait! I ignore him as I run from the room. When I return to my room and lock my door, I feel too hollow inside for tears. It hurts to breathe when I think of Claude. I eventually manage to fall asleep, but only after having snatches of restless dreams when my eyes finally close. Mother, are you and Father in true love? Like the fairy tales? I thought I forbid you to speak of fairy tales. Have you been reading them? No, Mother. I overheard someone in the palace talking about them today. Then I shall find that person and make sure that they know what an appropriate topic of conversation in the palace is. But Mother, the true love in fairy tales sounds so nice. Don't you think I can fall in true love with the prince? Dearest one, true love like that does not exist. But the love between a mother and her child is the truest kind. It cannot be replicated by anything else. All other kinds of love is an illusion. My love is all that you'll ever need. Do you understand me, my heart? Yes, Mother. Chapter 8, The Lost Prince. Alright, I think we're going to go ahead and end it there. We got through a whole chapter, so I'd say that's a pretty solid run there. Alrighty. So, some interesting things. Claude is acting strangely. And more than likely, it has something to do with his curse. So, I'm pretty sure he has the Beauty and the Beast curse. What was Beauty and the Beast again? It was something along the lines of like, yo, he's the beast. And I think it was just supposed to be like, I forget if it was that, oh, if the only way your curse can be broken is if you fall in love. I think that's what it was. So maybe that's why. So maybe his curse will only be broken if he falls in love with us, but he seems to be hung up on another woman. So that's a theory of mine at least, but I am interested to see kind of how we deal with this. Because I feel like our character is getting closer to the realization that she does, in fact, love Karma. Alrighty. I think that's going to be it for this time. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you guys would like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this series or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you will be notified when a new one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one.